A visit to Washington, D.C. usually means taking in the familiar sights. Not this visit.
Get him. Shoot that snakehead.
Oh!
I mean, look at this, whole tongues. Those are some nice balls. You guys have the best shtick in town. You gotta love that.
While this monumental city is all about tourism and the business of government, there's another city with communities who've been here for centuries.
You get a little barnyard?
A little barnyard? I mean, this is full-on poop shoot, my friend.
And new arrivals, putting down roots and celebrating new food experiences.
You gotta like eating little bones.
Take a look at these people. Look at.
This is definitely the adult after-hours version of cheese.
All kinds of experience.
I mean, come on.
It's a river city with unexpected ingredients coming from unlikely sources.
That is one disgusting fish. Look at that goo.
It's all Washington, D.C.
Oh, yes!
Very nice.
I'm Andrew Zimmern, and this is Bizarre Foods America. After midnight, less than an hour's drive from Washington's gleaming monuments, I'm in a hunting party, stalking the banks of the Potomac River for one of the ugliest invaders on the eastern seaboard.
You see it, take a shot.
Our quarry is a fish known as snakehead.
That's a snakehead.
Oh, yeah.
John Rorapaw is the guy who brought me here. He's director of sustainability at ProFish, a Washington, D.C. fish and seafood distributor,
Now that's a smell and a half.
and an evangelist for the idea of fighting this invasive species by eating it.
That is one disgusting fish.
He is ugly and he is big.
I first met John and some snakeheads at the ProFish loading dock. Two things you notice about snakehead: they drip, with a protective coating of mucus excreted through the skin.
These are by far the slimiest fish I've ever dealt with.
Yeah. This is just, I mean, just look, it's like Vaseline dripping off that
You can
guy.
see them.
And they have a double row of razor-sharp teeth.
This only looks like it's a 16th of an inch, but those will just rip your hands right
Oh,
open.
I mean, you can feel it. It just, and then you have these little incisors in the front here. That's a scary fish.
It is a very scary fish.
And it's doing really well in our ecosystem.
In Asia, snakehead are a highly prized eating species. They're intentionally introduced into lakes and rivers there. But here, on the Potomac, a few imported fish were accidentally released. And now they're infesting the river and its tributaries, getting big and fat on the indigenous water life, but getting tasty too.
They did an invasive dinner at National Geographic with them. Everybody loved them. I said, all right, that's the big hurdle. And 2 years later, now we're getting 400 or 500 pounds in at a time.
It's a tough job turning one of these things into fillets. Sharp teeth, slippery skin that's also thick and tough. With this one, there's an unexpected bonus: a roe sac inside.
Fish roe is so beautiful. There's a little piece of connective tissue and just a sac that holds the eggs.
Snakeheads spawn half a dozen times per year.
Wow.
Averaging 20,000 eggs per spawn. It's a motivation to find a use for all those eggs.
Now, you know, you can slit them open, rinse them in salt, dry them, and pack them, and actually make snakehead caviar.
As a test, we'll put these in salt, which will flavor the eggs while it draws out the moisture.
Well, let that sit for 10 minutes.
Okay.
You'll be amazed at what that does.
And there's no better place to kill 10 minutes than a fish and seafood hub like this one. Garfish from the Potomac, grouper from the Gulf of Mexico, cod from Boston, crab meat from Maryland, fresh whelk from Rhode Island. So fresh, the animal inside is still alive.
These are so gorgeous.
Help yourself.
Well, you know, it's the easiest thing in the whole world. You just gotta take away the stomach and some of the other crap. Oh, that is beautiful.
Wow, that's really good.
Oh, that's really good. They're a little chewy, but sliced thin, super fresh, very sweet.
Lemon olive oil, you're right.
Oh.
That's great.
Just rinse some of that off.
We've let our snakehead roast salt long enough.
The salt has firmed it up. Come on. That's stupid good.
Really good.
You get that buttery fish roe flavor and then that little bit of salt and then that buttery flavor comes back and just punches you in the nose.
No fishiness.
None, zero.
Eating snakehead in any form is still a new idea around Washington, and the fish is raising its ugly head in some unexpected kitchens. Like this one at The Source. A Wolfgang Puck restaurant run by executive chef Scott Druno. Scott was one of the first local chefs to risk putting snakehead on his menu where even he worried it would look a little out of place.
At first, when he's like invasive species, snakehead, neither of those words sounds very appealing.
Doesn't really scream fine dining.
Yeah, it works very well for what we do. And the fish, I mean, it tastes great. There's no getting around it that if it didn't taste good, we don't want it.
Tonight, he's got 2 snakehead dishes on his menu. An appetizer and an entree. The starter is oolong tea smoked snakehead. The fish is cured in tea and sugar, then cold smoked over smoldering oolong tea. The construction is simple compared with how Scott makes the entree. Snakehead, marinated in chilies, then batter fried. Served with a Thai curry sauce flavored by a star-studded lineup of spices and herbs.
Thai chili, red chili, cinnamon, star anise, ginger, paprika, lemongrass.
You get the idea. But the real star of the show and the main flavoring agent is the head of the snakehead. Put this all together, it spells heaven.
Snakehead.
I love it.
The tea-smoked snakehead is a centerpiece for all kinds of flavors and textures, whatever a creative chef can dream up.
If you're gonna do thin slices of cold smoked cured fish, and you're gonna put this kind of aggressive Asian style seasoning on it, you need to have fish that's gonna stand up to it. That snakehead is just incredible. Toothy and textural.
It's the same with the fried snakehead and Thai curry sauce.
That is firm and fleshy, and quite frankly, if I was blindfolded and you told me that this was young swordfish, I just might believe you. That's what the texture reminds me of. The curry sauce is incredible. The whole country should be eating this. That's delicious.
The one catch is you won't always find snakehead on the menu because it's still relatively hard to get. They're infesting the Potomac by the tens of thousands, but so far, not enough people are fishing for it. Before this visit is through, I'll be doing my part, using a bow and arrow instead of a rod and reel.
You only have about a half second to shoot it. Oh, yeah.
But first, there's a lot to discover on the streets of Washington.
So between the Elvis and the spicy pig,
When you have armies of federal workers in buildings where restaurant leases aren't available,
it's a food desert. It's a food desert.
you get a street food scene full of surprises. Some good,
Oh, I love tongue tacos.
some not so much.
Probably the worst single food item in the history of American cooking.
When it's lunch hour in Washington, D.C., food trucks line the streets. More trucks with more variety. In a smaller space than just about anywhere else in America. Wonder why? Well, look around.
State Department, Federal Reserve Board, Interior Department.
There's hundreds of thousands of federal workers in this town.
We work in the Bureau of Public Diplomacy.
Oh my God, so do I.
Oh my God, no way!
Working in block after block of imposing and restricted federal buildings.
There's no restaurants here because they're government buildings.
It's a total food desert right
Right, and it's a food desert. It's a food desert.
Food trucks offer a mobile oasis in this desert. and are often the only food alternative to the wretched pablum being slopped out in the office cafeteria. So, during one DC lunch hour, I came to sample what's available at Triangle Park, Virginia Avenue, right by the State Department.
Interesting. Interesting.
The PB&J truck serves almost nothing except peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, with a few twists.
So between the Elvis and the Spicy Pig, you got a favorite?
Spicy pig.
Spicy. No question.
The Spicy Pig starts with peanut butter, adds red jalapeno jelly, then prosciutto, bacon, and apple slices, all designed to invoke memories of lunches carried to school in little brown bags.
Ready to
Yep.
go? Make sure you read, got a note from Mom in there.
The note from Mom.
Everything will come with it.
Don't let anyone beat you up today. Love, Mom.
It's a very tiny note. It's
Well,
a
we have
fortune cookie
a very
joke.
little tiny mom.
You have a tiny mother. Wow.
But there's nothing tiny about this sandwich.
Flavors work. I mean, you know, smoky meat with peanut butter, the hot chili. It's a nice little sort of Asian-inspired taste treat. I like the apple slices. That's a nice sandwich.
When all your potential customers come and go in a single lunch rush, trucks in this town have to get creative with what they serve and how they serve it, or risk toiling in anonymity and losing sales.
Which one's your favorite? Where are you going today?
The Folger Brothers.
Fogel Brothers is the craziest looking operation out here, and they may have the most serious agenda when it comes to changing the definition of fast food.
Well, I'm gonna go with the green curry and the sweet potato and kale massaman.
This is fast food made with kale, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, all from local farms.
Enjoy.
Thank you. You guys have the best shtick in town.
Obviously, this is about more than just food. Justin Vitarello and his fellow owners want to redefine our notions of public space by serving food as performance art.
This is a lifestyle choice for us. We're the largest
Fogel
traveling
family.
culinary carnival in the world and the only traveling culinary carnival in the world.
Largest and only.
The largest and only, so.
It's very nicely done.
So let's talk about the Brussels sprouts.
I like it.
You like
the
it?
curries are very good. And
Okay.
thank God you have vegetables.
Oh my God, we have tons.
But this is also very fresh and wholesome. It's a really nice alternative. It's different from what other people are doing.
Fogel Brothers claims to come from the fictional country of Merlindia.
You gotta love that.
But there's genuine international flavors here. At Chupacabra, you can get Mexican tacos with beef tongue,
Oh, I love tongue tacos. Buttery soft, pot roasty, great, delicious beefy flavor. Perfect for tacos.
At the Tapas truck, on some days, they serve a blood sausage, like you might find on the streets of Buenos Aires.
And look at those big, beautiful globs of fat. Doesn't get any better. It tastes like pumpkin pie. It really does, with all the nutmeg that's in there.
And there's an authentic flavor of Hawaii served up at the truck called Hula Girl.
Look at that. Oh. Classic Hawaiian barbecue. Grilled chicken, a lot of sweet and salty teriyaki sauce. Beautiful pork. Oh.
The food from Makala Brennan's truck is so authentic, it even includes something that's a huge favorite in Hawaii, made with my vote for Useless Foods poster child. Spam. Spam is Hawaii's uber comfort food. And Spam Musubi is to Hawaii what cheeseburgers are to the other 49 states. It's a slice of grilled Spam, surrounded by sushi rice, seasoned with sweet vinegar and furikake, pressed together and wrapped in a sheet of nori. Makala says she sells out of them every day.
By the way, this tiny little thing weighs about 14 pounds, and down the middle of it is a strip of griddled Spam, probably the worst single food item in the history of American cooking. Sadly, no amount of hot sauce and soy sauce, seaweed and rice can drown out the horrible flavor of canned meat.
I didn't know we were going to take it down with Spam.
You know, I can eat anything. I mean, you know, I could eat the whole thing. It's just, why would you want to?
Clearly, Washington is a place where cultures mix in unexpected ways. Like tasting classic soul food.
It's all the best parts of the pig. The liver, the muscles in the head, the skin, just ground up.
And kosher soul food, all in the same day.
Those greens that's in there remind me of Africa. The aftertaste reminds me of my grandmother's house.
And these days, there's food coming into Washington you never would have found here just 20 years ago, including some I kind of wish I'd stayed away from.
I mean, come on.
Washington, D.C. was the first city in America where African Americans became the majority population. So it's a gold mine of great soul food, where a rich diversity of African American cultures mash up.
Yep.
That's why I'm in the inner city with a fellow Jew, cooking what he calls kosher soul.
Shalom, y'all.
Michael Twitty is a culinary historian devoted to preserving African American foodways. A recognized expert on early American cooking, he writes, lectures, and gives demonstrations all over the world, and he calls Washington home. Our day started out with a quick breakfast at a little neighborhood shop near Howard University.
Now, a lot of these row houses seem ancient. Is it gentrifying?
Yeah,
New Black America coming here? Old white America coming in
young
here?
white America.
Young white America.
Is rehabbing and living in these houses.
A lot of the landmarks of traditional Black D.C. are disappearing. But this one, the Florida Avenue Grill, still holds its place alongside the modern steel and glass.
It feels like a New York City delicatessen. You got the Wall of Fame.
This is basically the DC African American equivalent of 2nd Avenue Deli, if you will. Yeah.
It's been here since World War II, but it really came into its own as a meeting place for civil rights leaders of the 1960s.
DC was a segregated city up until the 60s. They had to have somewhere to go, right?
Right.
And so food is the common denominator, and this is where you came to find for everything.
Yeah.
And this is where you came to find food that you grew up with.
And with soul food, what you grew up eating always depends on where your family came from.
Oh, look at you.
Take scrapple, for instance. Most people associate scrapple with rural Pennsylvania. It's pig's organs and scraps mixed up with meal, pressed and chilled into a loaf, then sliced and fried. But in Maryland and some points south, it's considered soul food.
That looks like sausage. That's not the scrapple I grew up with.
Well, this is the scrapple that I know. How you finish it and make it, it's up to you.
The Great Migration of Southern blacks moving north in the 20th century brought people to Washington from all across the South. And those regions do soul food a little differently.
Ma'am, can I trouble you for some jelly?
What you putting jelly on?
Scrapple and jelly.
What?
That's a combination I learned on a visit to North Carolina, but it's new to Michael.
Are you kidding me? Where are you from?
We didn't have no scrapple.
Oh my goodness.
I had an Alabama grandmother who did not make that.
Eating at a place like Florida Grill offers a reminder that the definition of soul food can depend on geography. And so a soul food classic, like stewed pork intestine, is comfort food for some customers, incomprehensible to others, even when they're flavored with hot sauce and vinegar.
You get a little barnyard from it, or you...
A little barnyard? I mean, this is full-on poop shoot, my friend. You sure I can't convince you?
Even if I didn't have payas, you would still not convince me to eat that.
This has been driving me crazy all morning, Rabbi. There we go.
There we go.
Now you're just a little more Jewish.
Oh, man. Oh, man. All right, do it.
I really go. Those are buttery soft, melt in your mouth. That's delicious, delicious. And you do taste I mean, it's the insides of the pig.
Right, you're gonna taste it
You're
anyway.
gonna,
it's part
no
of the
matter
experience.
what. If they're completely benign, then there's no point in ordering them. You might as well have a grilled cheese sandwich.
Right.
Florida Avenue Grill is an oasis of a vanishing past. Our next stop is here, an urban oasis that's tending the future.
Wow. This is an impressive space.
Yeah, so let's get that right there.
My gosh.
Uh-huh. Told you gonna make you work in the fields.
No.
This is Common Good City Farm. Just minutes from where Congress is making laws, people in the neighborhood of LeDroit Park are making their own food. Michael's got me picking collards for our lunch.
So, going for the middle leaves.
Yeah, believe me. This I've harvested before.
Common Good offers garden plots for growing the kind of fresh vegetables you can't buy in this neighborhood. Michael volunteers here, reintroducing the people to African-American foodways.
So, do you know how to wash collard greens properly? You know, properly.
Old, fat, white Jewish guys can't wash greens properly?
Is that like white men can't jump?
Well, it's the culinary equivalent. I mean,
But Michael is doing more than keeping old traditions alive. He's doing his own cultural mashup, making something new.
now what are you gonna do with
All right.
these greens? You
So-
gonna cook them up like you had at breakfast this morning?
No, I'm gonna saute them
Yep.
for something I call kosher soul rolls. Doesn't mean they have a breast. No, you can put that over there. It just
By the
means
way,
they're good.
if that's gonna happen, I just assume I'd be in charge of that.
Kosher soul rolls may sound like a joke, but Michael's serious about what he's trying to do, using food to express his own African and Jewish identities.
It's really about combining diasporas. We both acknowledge that there's a lot of humor there, there's a lot of pain there, there's a lot of traveling the globe. So to me, it's important to have all the different elements, bring them together, and be myself.
You wanna know what the best part is about being Jewish?
What is that?
Anybody can be.
That's right.
That makes this a labor of love. Homegrown garlic, mixed in with freshly picked collard greens, fresh picked onion, sauteed in a cast iron skillet with oil and a dash of seasoned vinegar.
Now, it wouldn't be black food without hot peppers, Jewish seasoned salt, kosher chicken broth.
And the pastrami, standing in for the bacon, usually mixed with greens. What comes out of that pan and gets rolled up in the egg roll skins is a happy family of Jewish Chinese soul food that universally turns me off. But this time, I'm in for a surprise.
Okay, l'chaim.
Cheers. Oh, good.
Black and Jewish in an egg roll. Can you beat that?
I like that cured meat flavor with the greens. It's fantastic, and the dipping sauce. These are delicious.
Okay.
They're delicious. So we're not gonna call it fusion food. I like
Right.
your diaspora combination. Those greens that's in there remind me of Africa. The aftertaste reminds me of my grandmother's house.
Wow.
That's a nice combo. That's a nice combo.
It's fun to find unexpected cultural combos turning up in food.
And this is how America eats.
Like the food you get when a Spanish chef brings his passion for America's past to the task of restoring American food that hasn't been seen in 200 years. Like the original version of mac and cheese.
Holy macamole.
And I've still got a date to go hunting the food of the future.
Oh, yeah.
That was really close.
Hoping to rid the river of at least one more snakehead and taste one straight out of the water.
Very exciting. First snakehead in the boat.
When it comes to American icons, Washington, D.C. is full of them. Iconic American foods, like pizza, hamburgers, and hot dogs, weren't even created in the USA and have only been around for about 100 years. There's a lost world of American food, from New York taverns in the 1700s to the saloons of the California Gold Rush of 1849. Things like phosphate sodas, developed during Prohibition, or a brandy milk and lemon cocktail, personally recommended by Ben Franklin.
You know, after I drink this, I understand they were able to write, you know, the Declaration of Independence.
Absolutely, it's a great motivator.
Oh my God, this was the beginning of everything.
This is a Spaniard who's obsessed with introducing America to its own cooking. Jose Andres is a force of nature, humanitarian, businessman, one of the 100 most influential people in the world, according to Time magazine, and a top contender for the title of world's greatest chef.
Oh, yes!
1-1.
Certainly, he's one of the most playful. Jose opened Jaleo here in Washington 20 years ago. Foosball games double as dinner tables.
Oh, my God. Oh.
And dinner is centered around the Spanish cooking Jose grew up with, like paella, a sautéed short-grain rice dish traditionally made with regional ingredients. It's cooked in a wide, flat pan, so the rice cooks evenly in a thin layer, giving it a firm, dry texture. When Jose hosts a meal, everything becomes larger than life.
And here, because I'm a good person, I'm gonna divide the paella in 2 pieces.
Right.
This one is for you.
Right, no, of course.
And this one is...
For everyone else.
No, for me.
Big portions aren't really Jose's style. Jaleo was one of the first American restaurants to bring tapas into the national consciousness, and it's still one of the best. Little cones of marmalade and goat cheese, sea urchin and trout roe served over tomato, green pepper, and cucumber.